right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, commenting on the Buckeyes. We got Tony Girdman on the line from the ozone.net. Tony does a great job right there. We get a sampling of his work right here at Mark Rogers TV. We're on Patreon. Please support us there, as well as grab the Amazon links to support the channel that you see down below. You don't need to buy the product, just use the link. All right, now we get to the portion of the offseason that I kind of detest, because it's become a factor in news, and I use the term lightly, reporting and sports reporting by extension, and that's that you start to speculate on somebody else's speculation, and then maybe that's attached to a rumor. I saw a what we call a topic bar in TV on one of the networks the other day that was involving an NBA rumor. So we start with a rumor, and then it was a reaction to somebody else's reaction about the rumor. That's what it actually read on the topic bar. It's come to that. Not quite in that ballpark, but still, when you look at Heisman Trophy odds, it's basically somebody's projection of how somebody's going to vote eventually, and are discussing what we think of their projection on somebody's vote, which isn't even the vote doesn't tell us that that player is definitely the best player in the country. It's just a popularity poll to a certain extent, or an evaluation of a season. So it's a bit silly, but that's what we do during the longest off season in sports, college football, is we got to talk about this stuff. So we got the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook saying that Tua Tagovailoa is at plus 250. So if you're not into betting, that means you need to lay $100 to win 250 net. So it's a 5-2 odds for Tua. Then you got Trevor Lawrence at 3-1. Then you've got an interesting threesome with Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields, 2 transfers. And then Adrian Martinez, I'm surprised to see at 6-1, despite his talent at Nebraska, having only played about half a season there. So Justin Fields, of course, popping up at 6-1. The talent would say, hey, he should be rated that highly, and the talent now around him at Ohio State and the opportunities should all play into something that reflects 6-1. Sounds pretty reasonable.
As we talked about it, it does sound reasonable, assuming Justin Fields is the starter and assuming he wins the job. You look at what Dwayne Haskins did last year, throwing for 5,000 yards. Now you bring in Justin Fields, who some say is, obviously he can throw the ball, he can run the ball. Now are you talking a 4,000-yard passer, 800 yards rushing? If you do that, you're going to be in New York. And that's, I think, what an Ohio State quarterback can do if he's as good as people think or as people say, because there's going to be plenty of offense at Ohio State under Ryan Day, but he still has to win the job. People assume that he is going to be outstanding, and he may be, but he is one of a number of mysteries about Ohio State this year, where if everything falls in line, they could win a national title. If all of these assumptions end up being, 50-50 and not quite as good, then now you're talking, 10-2. I mean, even say worst case scenario is 10-2. That's a bit outlandish as well. But I think if he's the starter, the numbers are going to be there, and he's got a better arm than JT Barrett. Can run. He's faster. JT Barrett is a quality runner in what he was asked to do, reading, getting that extra yard, picking up those short yardage. I don't expect that from Justin Fields. What I would expect is more scrambles for 30 yards, stuff like that. And just keeping the defense honest with his ability to read the option, run that zone read, which they didn't do last year. So if he's the starter, he's going to put up some numbers. He's got the Ohio State backing. He'll have the hype, which, we saw Tua had the hype last year, and it carried him all the way until the end when somebody came in from, Kyler Murray came in sort of down the stretch and took it from him. So he's going to, we're already talking about him. So he has the hype, and he's played 12 games as a true freshman in garbage time. So here we are.
And Kyler Murray, by the way, was 20-1 to start the season at this point last year. So it's not necessarily the guy going into it, but more so than any other award, major sports postseason award, there is a a setting up. There is a stage to be set where they almost give us the candidates, and then you really have to play from behind, be a running back that runs for 2,200 yards or a passer who comes out of nowhere to put yourself out there, or you have to completely lose it in the other way to drop yourself off the map. As opposed to NFL MVP, we just vote on whomever. There's not like a list of candidates to start the season.
Yeah, the way I would equate it is, you've got like Tua and Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are basically, like Wheel of Fortune at the end. You get the RSTLNE. That's those guys. And then it's up to the winner to pick the letters that, ends up spelling out the rest of the puzzle. And like you said, coming from behind and, coming out of the picture into the picture where you maybe catch some people off guard and surprise them. But because we've seen how many times where a guy is leading forever and you think he's a shoe-in, be it Geno Smith a few years back. I mean, half the season there was nobody else in contention, and by the end of it, it's like Geno who. So, we'll see who can. It'll be interesting to watch who comes from behind and puts themselves into that picture. And I would think Adrian Martinez would be one of those guys, except he's already in the picture, and I think that's a little early. But I do have high expectations for him.
So if we stay on the same campus, then we go back to 2014. If he would have completed the season, JT Barrett was not the starter, of course. So 1 week to the start of the season, ended up throwing, I believe, 34 touchdown passes and running for whatever it was, 13 or 14 more, and had one of the most prolific seasons in Big Ten history. Was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. I don't know where he finished in the Heisman. I would guess he finished in the top 6 or 7, something in that range.